All right, welcome back to Kosi's Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi, and in this video, we're going to be looking at the predicted lineup. Arsenal taking on Manchester City this Sunday, the biggest game in UK, the biggest game in the did I say UEFA Champions League? In the Premier League, match day 25. Will Arsenal get spanked? Will Manchester City lose? Will it be a draw? So many questions around this game, but for me, I'm more interested in how Arsenal is going to set up, against Manchester City over this weekend. Kiantian is back, Pepe is back. We don't have Thomas Partey, so it's going to be a lot of a mix. It's not going to be something easy. I know Mikel Arteta must be thinking so hard right now. He's going to be, going back to his former employers, Manchester City, against Pep Guardiola. For me, I think it's a no-brainer. The result might be a no-brainer. Manchester City, they are absolutely flying, in this season. They're in tremendous form. When you look at their quality, the manager, they're better. They're clear of Arsenal in every aspect. They're just so good, and I don't expect Arsenal to go out there and get this interesting result 2-1, 1-0, or 2-2. No. I think it's going to be something like 3-1 in favor of Manchester City, or 4-1 in favor of City. I think they're so good. They're just so good. The way they spanked Tottenham, the way they beat Liverpool, I think it's going to be either we give them the respect they deserve, or they're absolutely going to destroy us. But I'm going to be looking at the predicted lineup and actually see who needs to line up, how should we line up. Because for me in this game, I think we should go for a 3-5-2, or a 3-4-3, something like that. And many people are going to say, no, Kosi, let's go for a 4-2-3-1, just like Mikel Arteta has been using. And of course, I know he's going to use a 4-2-3-1, but I would rather go for a 4-3-3. A 3-4-3. And I'm really going to give you my own reasons why I think we should use 5 defenders, in that game, and not 4 defenders. Because I think City, to hold back City, you've got to do a lot defensive wise. You've got to be very disciplined. Without players like Thomas Partey, and how flying City are, it's not going to be so easy. It's not going to be, a walkover. It's going to be a very long evening. It's going to be long 90 minutes for Arsenal. And I know Mikel Arteta knows this, and I'm going to actually be looking at how Arsenal should be lining up and how we could actually line up with or without Thomas Partey. In goal, let's go with Ban Leno. I think it's a no-brainer. He is our first choice goalkeeper, and everybody knows that. In centre back, I'm going to go with David Louis and drop Holding. Initially, I had considered going for a partnership between Rob Holding and Gabriel Magalhaes, but Gabriel is a little bit sloppy these days, very sloppy. Although I said we should go for a 3-4-3, but of course, Mikel Arteta doesn't want to play 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3. He's going to either play a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3, which he rarely plays these days. So I suspect he might play a 4-2-3-1. And that, of course, brings me to the centre-back partnership of David Louis and Rob Holding. Now, in the past 2 games, we've seen David Louis playing with Gabriel Magalhaes. I don't know why I don't know why Mikel Arteta has been lining up in that way. But, it seemed to work. I think he's trying to create that confidence that, build that confidence around or in Gabriel Magalhaes, and I think it can work because he's so sloppy these days. He is not the confident, brilliant young defender he was at the beginning of the season. I don't know whether it's because of the trauma of the injury, or I don't know because it's the COVID-19. But he's wherever it is, it really hit him hard, and he is affected. Hector Bellerin comes in the right back. Of course, that's a no-brainer as well. All of us know how beloved Hector Bellerin is, in Mikel Arteta's setup. And for me, this is going to be a really big problem for Arsenal. Because if you have Rob Holding and Hector Bellerin taking on Phil Foden, it's a no-brainer. You could see the drama already unfolding even before I say it. I think this is going to be the weak link in Arsenal's defense over the weekend. Hector Bellerin cannot hold Phil Foden. That's the truth. He can't hold Phil Foden. And then Rob Holding, and his quality and his level of game, I don't think he can hold Phil Foden. So I think either Foden or Sterling is going to be having an easy weekend. Whoever Pep decides to go against Hector Bellerin and Rob Holding, I think they're going to be having a laugh, an absolute laugh. Kian Tierney is back in the left wing back. That is relieving. That is so relieving. It's one of the things I've been looking at, and I'm like, okay, at least because Cedric, you can't imagine Cedric playing out of position against Manchester City, whether he's versing Sterling on the right or he's versing Foden. It doesn't matter. That is shambles, absolute shambles. So I think Kian Tierney and David Louis can partner to stop either Sterling or Bernardo Silva or Riyad Mahrez. Not to stop them to an extent where they can't score, but I think to stop them to an extent where I think we might not get humiliated. And I think this is, for me, this is what I'm looking out for in this game. Can we avoid getting humiliated? In the midfield, I'll go with Granit Xhaka, of course. I think he is a brilliant player these days. He is, he deserves the playing time he's getting at Arsenal. He deserves everything he's getting at Arsenal. He's just so brilliant. The defensive shield he offers, the defense, he tries to link up play going forward. I think he might not be that useful against Manchester City, although he has to be, but I think he's a player that Arsenal are going to rely on. He's a player we are going to rely on. I think many people will go out there and tell you, Xhaka, in the past 10 games, he's been brilliant. He's been good. And I think he's going to be a very, very, key player, in this game. Because City are midfield centered. I mean, you just look at them. It's either Rodri or Fernandinho or Bernardo Silva or Ike Gundogan or Foden. So they're midfield centered. It's either you match their quality in the midfield or you absolutely destroy it. And I think if we are going to match their quality, one, we will need the numbers, because in terms of quality on paper, they're better than us. Even practically, they're better than us, aren't they? So I think we shall need numbers, Granit Xhaka, and we shall need a lot of physical presence in players like Granit Xhaka. So, and that's the reason as to why I introduced Dani Ceballos in this game. Why did I write? So I introduced Dani Ceballos in this game, and so many people are gonna tell me, because Ceballos can't play against City, but I think he can. I think he can't play against Manchester City. The reason is, if you look at the partnership between Xhaka and Dani Ceballos, I think it's a partnership you can use. I don't know how I should explain this, but I think it's a partnership you can use to block City, rather than using Xhaka, Smith Rowe, and Martin Odegaard. It sounds a little bit crazy, because the truth is I don't think Ceballos works so hard. But I think one of the reasons as to why I think I like Ceballos with Xhaka in this midfield, or why I've gone with them, is they have the capability and capacity to hold on to that ball in the midfield without going forward to lose it, and without, at least fall back, but not lose it. Emile Smith Rowe, what he will do, he will stretch play, he will get into dangerous areas, lose the ball, give possession to Manchester City every time and again. And that's why I keep him out of this lineup, and I go with Martin Odegaard. This has nothing, listen, this has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with Odegaard being better than Smith Rowe being out of form, nothing. I think Odegaard has a more ball retention capability with Xhaka and Ceballos. And that's what we need against City. You need to hold that ball. You need to hold on to that ball for minutes. For minutes. Whether going forward or going backward, you need to have the ball, so that City, whenever City are getting the rhythm, you kill their rhythm. And Smith Rowe, he can't do that. He just can't give us that. On the left, I'm going to go with Pepe. instead of Smith Rowe, because I think Smith Rowe has been playing on the left. So I'll go with Pepe, another player that I think has the ability to retain that ball for at least 40 seconds before releasing it, or at least 50 seconds before releasing it. And that's the type of players we need now. We might not need players that run a lot. We might not need to run at City, but can we hold that ball and be very calm so that City do not actually ignite rhythms, because we can't actually dance to their tunes. So we have to cue the music. Of course, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, after missing his sitter, is going to be rewarded by starting through the middle. Of course, through the middle. I think Saka will be on the left, although I think he needs some rest, but of course not in this game. So Saka on the right, Pepe on the left, and I think Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang starts through the middle. He scored a hat-trick in his last Premier League game against Leeds, and then he disappointed us. Absolutely, he disappointed us. In the Europa League tie, he missed a sitter, an absolute sitter, one that I thought would be so easy for him, but he missed it. But look, this lineup might not be, all glory, all merry, but I think it's a lineup that Mikel Arteta can think of basing on my reasons, because I think David Luiz and Rob Holding, they might not be so firm or so solid. They might not have that chemistry you want between your centre backs, but I think Luiz is very good at the long balls, and you need him in this team because most of our creativity is actually going to come from deep areas. I don't think we are going to have a lot of space in the midfield, to go at City. Now, Rob Holding, very good in the air, and we are lucky that City are not so good in the air. So I think, for aerial consultation, we shall need Rob Holding in there. Kian Tierney, all of us know what he can offer when he's on his best day. And Dexter Bellerin, the problems that he's going to cause, I think it's going to either be Granit Xhaka or Dani Ceballos to cover for him. In the midfield, I did go with Ceballos and Xhaka and Odegaard, and my reasons were these three have a better ball retention ability or capability than Emile Smith Rowe or Mohamed Elneny or anyone, and that's why I went for this kind of midfield. So I think Mikel Arteta will think about that. I don't think you're going to verse City and you're going to have possession at 40%. We might have 30%, 25% ball possession, but how do you go about that? Try to hold that ball, try to spread, try to play backwards, as much as possible. Concede 2 goals if you can score one. Fair enough. I went with Saka and Pepe. I think Pepe has not started the last 2 games for us. No, one against the one against Leeds in the Premier League, and the other against Benfica in the Europa League. The reasons are not very clear, but he has not started. Probably he will start in this one. And then Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, the hat-trick hero over last weekend, should actually replicate his form, because it's so disgusting to score and then miss sitters in the next game. So that's my predicted lineup, and I'll come with a preview tomorrow in the morning as we prepare for Manchester City.